I will call the June 5th meeting of the Monroe County Election Board to order. Now my mic's on. Okay, fine. So we're called to order. We need to approve minutes of the May 1st election board meeting and the second vote. Can we do that at once? Do we have to do them separately? Can we do that at once?
We've done them collectively
Okay.
in the past, and I have read and reviewed the minutes. I have no additions, corrections, or deletions.
So is that a motion to accept?
It is.
I will second that. Those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Vote. That's Ms. Kiley.
Yes, okay. So voter list maintenance started at the end of May, and we're still working through it currently. We are expected to be completed with voter list maintenance by September of 2025. And then I did want to also give an update that we are currently processing our annual SVRS audit, and that has begun this week, and it should be completed by December 31st.
That is connected, is that connected to the postcards we received in the mail?
So the postcards will be part of the voter list maintenance portion of that. That is just verifying that every registered voter is still at their current address. And if they are not, then they can update or request to cancel their registration if they've moved out of state. And then the SVRS audit is strictly auditing users that have access to SVRS, so all of the employees in the office, ensuring that there are not any on there that are seasonal workers, such as our leads during the election, and just maintaining the order of SVRS.
Thank you. Is there public comment on this? See none. New business is the...
Sorry, I just interrupt for a second. Somebody texted me that audio is not coming through for the online portion of the meeting. Can folks hear it?
Yes, we can hear you online.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, so the contract review and resolution.
I did not prepare a resolution for this agenda item, so I guess I can quickly prepare one based on election board compensation.
Question I'm going to ask is, what do we have to do with this? Do we approve it and then it goes to the commissioners to sign? How does...
I think historically election board has not reviewed election related contracts, but this is one where there was a request for the election board to review it. So I think that would be the process, that ultimately the contract is to be approved by the commissioners.
Based on my understanding, and then from what I've done with the last week, is Hart sells us or leases us, leases the stuff, and then we have used B&L to make it work. So I guess the question is, do we support that? Am I reading that correctly?
But we actually do own the equipment.
Okay.
And B&L Services helps us with the IT portion of our election. They're our IT vendor. They also move our equipment prior to election day and then pick it up. And then they also help us. I'm doing a very poor job of this. Mr. White is on the meeting if you have specific questions, but they also help us with our IT during early and absentee voting, as well as on Election Day.
Based upon the meeting that I had last week with Kylie and with Mr. White, it's that this company's job is to when there's a glitch that occurs or something's not correct, they come in and fix it. Would that be?
They work with Hart to address any issues that we might have. They also help us with preventative maintenance. Mr. White submitted a letter for the election board's review, providing extensive detail on what it is that he does. He has worked with us for more than 11 years. He started under the previous Monroe County clerk and has continued with under my administration.
So you'll have to forgive me. I have a couple different questions. Probably a couple different questions. I've had only a day or two to review this. That there's a mention in the letter that is serving as a statement of work of a team of 20, and just my fundamental question is whether that team of 20 are direct employees of the firm or whether they're subcontractors.
I think it would be fairest to ask Mr. White, who has been made a presenter.
You hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, subcontractors.
Okay, is there a way, do you have an existing like employment agreement or sort of assurances or indemnities with subcontractors and machine access to include with the contract?
Like, unclear what you're asking.
So like, is there any sort of just like a memorandum of understanding and outlining of liabilities and protections, what the employment agreement for those subcontractors looks like? And do they have access to voting machines, voting software, that kind of thing?
They have access to the voting machines. The software is provided by Hart. That's their software provider, and they support us. So not for that information, but do have ability to load it and select the proper polling location.
Sorry, it was a little bit unclear. The audio was just off and the transcript was hard to understand. Could you please repeat?
Yes, each one signs an agreement that they're subcontractors. Thing is defined that, but they are limited in what they do. The actual programming is provided by Hart, and then we load that information on the correct piece of it.
I think it was we load that information on the correct piece. I don't think.
Yeah, I think we got it.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
some of the wording, Mr. White, that you're using, it's not translating well in this, and I just want to clarify that.
Yeah,
You
I
are
I think we're fine.
think I understood. Yep, thank you.
Questions, and I guess we could call if there's public comment on this, correct? Public comment on the
Hello, Monroe County Commissioner Julie Thomas. I just wanted to reiterate information that we sent in this letter in May. We have questions about whether you all had reviewed the contract and were fine with it, whether there was a search for multiple vendors to find a good price, whether this is something that can be done in-house, how many other counties do this with outside IT versus inside IT. And our biggest concern was that there's $100,000 in non-election year cost that goes to this particular company. And yes, while Hart may indeed offer some software updates this year in a non-election year, that sometimes happens, we don't understand the dollars, right? And that's all we were asking for, because we were asked to approve a contract that there is missing information for us. Because for transparency's sake, we want to make sure that when we get asked a question by the public about why does it cost this much to do this when you're also paying Hart that, what is this person doing? What is this company doing? We want to be able to answer those questions. And we felt like the contract had a lot of gaps in it. And Ms. Turner King is aware of those gaps. So thank you so much.
Commissioner, did you receive a copy of the letter from Mr. White where he responded to the commissioner's concerns?
No, I did not.
I just got a copy of the letter yesterday, so I did not have time to distribute it.
So, Mr. White, would you mind to summarize what you listed in that letter?
Yes, happy to. Basically, the current costs are normal election costs, charging batteries, and maintenance of all the equipment. We test them all each year, make some good work order, and do that year also, so it can be corrected. And then so we're expecting a hard update to be approved by the state that will have to be loaded on the equipment. And then there are also anticipated election equipment moves that have already begun due to the movement of the election office, and we handle that equipment. And then, quite honestly, we've already worked on the election supervisor and clerk's office on many projects that we have done already, provided information, that kind of thing. For vote centers, I understand the status now. We did a lot of work with those also. So that's what happens in the off year. On a regular day in, out basis, Hart provides the equipment that we purchase, and then they provide the software, which is then cost. That is what their cost is. And then day in, out, we boots on the ground, take it off work, we deliver, we support it, we pick it up, put it all away. And then we, with the tools, along scanning butts and the balance.
So unfortunately, there continues to be some garbling, the translation between what you're saying. I believe that they are reviewing, the election board is looking at the letter that you presented, but is it fair to summarize it in a way that costs, whether or not there's an election, there are still costs? Is that a fair thing to say? We continue to pay for software and licensing. We do preventative maintenance. We could pay Hart to come from Texas and do that, but you work directly with Hart for the off-election year responsibilities with respect to the election equipment that we purchased under the contract with Hart. Is that fair?
That is correct.
And is it also fair to say, when you see the $100,000, it is up to that amount? You have given us an amount so that we can have an idea of how much it could cost. It may not cost that much. As I understood it from your letter, we have never gone over that amount where we had to go back and ask for additional appropriations.
That would be correct, not to exceed budget.
It does not exceed that budget and allows you to change out the batteries and other preventative maintenance as HART recommends what we need to do each year to get ready, whether it's an election or a non-election, the preventative things, and that is what your company does and has done for the last 11 years without incident. Is that fair?
That is correct.
So under your time, Nicole, I can't, that's so hard for me to do in a public. Under your time, have they done what they said their contract would do? And have they been timely on when an issue, either on election day or early voting, pops up?
Absolutely, they have more than fulfilled the terms of the contract that we have with them. There has not been any issue, and because we could pay a lot more, I would guess 2 to 3 times what B&L charges us for HART to come here from Texas to do the things that we need to service our equipment. We actually are getting B&L at a lower cost than where Mr. White previously worked, which was the Indiana Voice and Data. So we kind of, I guess, got bang for our buck by going with B&L because what they charge is exponentially less than what we would charge. And as to only so many vendors make election equipment, and everybody is not does not have the experience or background to work on that equipment. B&L does. This is just short of bringing HART in here to service their own equipment and work with us. We are getting an incredible deal, and he's been good to us for the last 11 years. His ethic is beyond reproach, and we are incredibly fortunate that he continues to lend his talents and services to Monroe County government. He retired from city technology, the city of Bloomington technology, and I really do not, short of bringing HART here, I really do not believe we can do better than B&L. Thank you.
Yeah, so it doesn't seem like the quality of service provided is really in question, right? Like
I hope not.
the contract seems like it's being executed. I think there's more of a question to the commissioner's comment that how costs are being structured, how they're being documented, right? So like storage is mentioned a couple different times. Is equipment stored at a county property somewhere? Is it?
Yes.
Okay, so the county isn't paying a private storage facility for anything.
We were paying a private storage facility for election-related items, not the equipment. The equipment
Is stored
is stored
in a county facility.
in the showers building.
Okay. And how much are we? What are we paying directly for private storage, or is it going to B&L?
So we were, and when the annual contract for the storage unit came due for renewal, I negotiated with them to keep their prices set, and they agreed if we would sign the contract for 2 years, which would be until the end of my term, then they would not raise their prices as they intend to do for their other storage customers. When the time came to sign that contract, there was concern. What I thought initially was the concern was that B&L did not feel that they had any ownership or interest in the contract. I'm sorry, in the storage, the property that was in the storage. And so we were asked to move. I did not make that choice. We were told we would be moving. And so movers were hired, and property was moved. And as I understand it, that ended up costing more than if we had maintained the contract with the storage facility.
Sure. So if you could just clarify for me the costs for the storage, like the actual disbursement of money for the cost of storage. Was it dispersed to BNL or was it dispersed to the storage facility?
We were paying the invoice would come to us from the storage facility.
Okay, that's what I was looking for. I didn't know if that was also a subcontract where BNL was paying a storage facility and the money was passed through the LLC, or if the county was paying storage directly.
It was coming out
direct.
of my contractual.
Understood. Thank you.
Mr. Hudak, I can provide some additional commentary on this as I dealt with the storage contract. So originally the storage contract was with a company in Ellettsville, and it was not in Mr. White's or BNL's name.
Right. That's, yep.
The contract, the items were moved to the showers building as there was available space to house these items at no additional cost to the county. And so that was one of the reasons they were moved. And there was also a concern that there was county property in this outside storage facility when no other department has a storage facility of that capacity. And in order to maintain a storage unit, there are certain state statutes, including a public hearing, that we have to have in order to maintain that storage unit.
Yeah, my concern is less that we had a storage facility or that a storage facility was paid. It was more what was the flow of money relative to cost structure that's outlined in the letter here in the contract as it exists. But it's clear that is a separate expense that's coming out of the clerk's budget. It has nothing to necessarily do with the contract. And that was one point I was confused on, because there's mention of moving equipment back and forth, and I just don't know who was managing that contract and how it was being paid. But that makes sense. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, so what do we need to do then? Was this just information?
I think my recommendation to the election board is if you're in support of this contract, then you should, as a board, state such.
If you need me to make a motion, I am in full and complete support of the B&L contract. I have reviewed it. I've spoken with Mr. White. This year's contract was actually based on one that was written by the county attorney previously, so most of the language stayed intact. There were some things that Mr. White's attorney asked be included to protect him. I am also in agreement with that. And again, it is a not to exceed budget. We do not intend to spend what was quoted, but up to, so that we wouldn't have to ask for additional appropriations.
And I'll second that motion that we approve it.
I will agree with the strong suggestion that at least a memorandum of understanding with regard to liability with subcontractors, at least protecting, if not outright indemnifying the county from any kind of liability with those subcontractors, be included before it's signed by the commissioners.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Have any other public comment for the day?
I think you have one more item.
Oh, what did I miss? Oh, okay, well, and I've had a conversation about the chairing this board. I would be perfectly content to wait until your appointment has been made, and then we can have a discussion. I mean, it seems to me that it's supposed to be, or it usually is done, 2 years for one party, 2 for the other. we can work with that either way. I mean, I don't care if it's the first two, the second two, if it doesn't matter, particularly if it's someone who has more experience. I do, letting him have the first 2 years. I'm not been out of shape either way about it.
Yeah, I think
Does
it's.
that work for you?
I think it's appropriate to wait. I don't think my making a decision about that it makes sense in this way. I appreciate the patience with it.
I mean, and it's, to be quite honest, it's not a huge deal.
Sure.
You call it to order, you call for them. I mean, it's.
Yeah, and there's no like code actually governing who chairs the board, right?
Correct. There is no code. The election board adopted a resolution in 2017, and then when Ms. Bankhart was appointed in July, she was originally came in as the chair. She chaired 30 seconds of a meeting before she relinquished early the chair to the Democratic Party.
Well, I would have preferred to wait until we have the permanent appointment, and then we'll that person and I can have a discussion about how to do it. Just on if it's legal, we can have a discussion privately and then make it. We can just move it through if that works.
It may not. With two sitting members of the board, I think that would probably have to be noticed, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So I mean, the conversation probably has to happen in public, but
That's fine.
yeah. But
I'm not trying to hide anything. It's just I don't think it's a huge deal.
No, I agree with you. I think it's appropriate to wait. I think the patience is the right attitude. Not much more to say on it beyond that.
Thank you for catching that, ma'am.
You're welcome, sir.
And now for other public comment, we're sorry we interrupted you. Go ahead.
Danny, one thing I would suggest that the letter for the appointment for today be read into the minutes.
Want me to read the letter into the minutes, or would you prefer to read your own letter into the minutes?
I can read it. So I wrote a letter this morning appointing myself for a short term to the board. It reads as follows. To whom it may concern, this letter serves as notice that on June 5th, 2025, I'm appointing myself to the Democratic Party seat on the Monroe County Election Board effective through June 30th, 2025. A formal notice of a permanent appointee will be made to county staff no later than that date. As of the writing of this letter, the chair has made no other formal appointment to the position. Thank you, Samuel A. Udak, Chairman, Monroe County Democratic Party.
I will move that's added to the record.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Now,
Hi, I'm Cheryl Langdon, Monroe County citizen. I have yet to hear about any investigation concerning what happened to me during my employment as a Monroe County employee at Election Central as the Democrat representative in my office. I want to share openly to everyone that I didn't vote for Trump last year. And I'm here to share the Monroe County Commissioner's public statement shared last night on social media and today in this room. Quote, the Trump administration has added Monroe County to its so-called sanctuary jurisdiction list, threatening over $6 million in federal funding due to our commitment to lawful and inclusive policies. Commissioner Thomas said, I quote, we follow the law. We will not be intimidated by political theater or unconstitutional threats. Commissioner Jones said, this is not about safety, it's about control. We'll continue protecting our people, not scapegoating them. Commissioner Madeira said, quote, we will not be complicit in criminalizing people based on fear and xenophobia. Monroe County remains committed to respect dignity and safety for all residents. With the hashtags, defend dignity, inclusive communities, stand with immigrants, no hate in our state. My response is no hate in our state. Where were the voices when hate against conservative Americans was at a high pitch? When people were being dragged on social media, in their own homes, and at their Monroe County government jobs, y'all said nothing. Fellow Democrats said nothing. And when you say nothing, when one person or group is marginalized, Nothing will be said when it's your turn. It's called cause and effect. It's called science. Now budgets suffer because of the political theater that was created by the Democrats in the first place. What a shame. Nothing was said against the auto-pen Biden regime when his executive office allowed an open invasion against American people, and his executive office actively violated conservative Americans' constitutional rights to free speech on social media. The Biden administration openly targeted these conservative Americans. And as a Democrat, that's a shame to see that, my fellow Americans. Biden's regime committed treason against our nation's sovereignty and against all of us. Shame on any party and any member of my party, the Democrat Party, who supported the treason committed by the Biden regime. We are the ones that put Trump in office because there was bullying and people refused to listen to fellow party members in the Democrat Party, people like me. The Democrat Party created this mess, and they have only themselves to blame. Thank you.
Right. Julie Thomas, Monroe County Commissioner here once again, but we wanted to provide some information for all of you and for the public because as we know with the groundbreaking for the new convention center, the Napa building, election operations will be demolished very soon. And we want to assure you all that there are plans in place. And this is, for those who don't know, Richard Kreider, who is our fleet and facilities manager. And if you would quickly just walk through what our plans are, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. So our plans are to renovate the east side of the first floor of the showers building for early voting. It's been a little bit of a process. We started in January, working myself with clerk staff on getting to a point where we could hire an architect to start doing some real programming. And through that process, we've added some more space than what we originally thought. It was obvious and apparent that we needed more square footage. So we've extended that, and I think we're where we need to be square footage wise. And if we can maintain the architect's program, we're looking at a finish in construction December 2025. My apologies.
Can't have it done before you start?
Correct.
I have a question, if I could, please. One of the things we had talked about was possibly having multiple early voting sites. If you're the person I think that maybe should know this, how much trouble would it be if we decided we wanted to, rather than a month, do 2 weeks early voting and have 3 or 4 sites? Do we have the space to do that currently?
Commissioner-owned buildings, I don't. Do you have anything to say?
All of our buildings are downtown. So I would imagine if you wanted to do something in the community, you would want to use space that is a church or a school or something else. I don't know. But yeah, everything we have is downtown.
Right.
And I'm sure we can make things work if you want a couple sites, but to everything being downtown, it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to do that. But we like the showers building because there's plenty of parking, access off the sidewalk. It's still downtown. It's very convenient. So we're really excited that this will be the new future home of election operations.
Sorry.
I'm just here.
I was going to bring you up to speed on previous efforts, but I can wait until you have your finishing remarks.
We just want to make sure that you're you're all aware, and the public's aware that we are, we're not getting flat-footed here. We are well aware that the Napa building would be demolished very soon. And so, yes, we began this process in earnest. And it is on schedule, thanks to Mr. Kreider and all the folks he was working with.
Did the commissioners own the Napa building? Was that purchased or leased? Okay, so there's no real like significant cost difference between operating out of Showers versus the Napa building? Okay.
I will say I appreciate working with you, Richard Kreider. It's been great just getting together and being able to communicate our concerns and them being answered pretty quickly for us.
You're welcome. Feelings mutual.
Thank you.
Just to bring both of you up to speed, there have been other efforts to have multiple early voting sites. The previous administration, she had a very well-intentioned early voting operation where she moved, I believe it was a trailer or some kind of motorcade thing to different areas around Monroe County. That did not, the feedback on that was not good. Then after the pandemic, when the commissioners recommended that we have more rural early voting sites, I consulted with the Allen County clerk because he has 4 different sites, north, south, east, west, or I believe he splits it up into quadrants, northwest, northeast, southwest, southeast. I wanted to do something like that during early voting where one week we were on the northwest side, northeast side, and through that 4 weeks of early voting, the incarnation of the election board at that time was not palatable due to cost. Now, in my mind, I saw the same team going to each location. I then suggested like maybe north, middle, south, dividing it up into the county up into thirds. That also was not palatable, but it is something that I think is amenable to voters, makes it easy because it comes close to their town or their side of town. Then the only thing that that I would say would be that we want to make sure to use sites that we would not use on election day because that could be confusing. And we have places that we used to use, but we don't. So a place on campus, we have that one site. I can never think of the name of it, Ms.
Center of Representative Governments.
We've never used that before as an early voting site, but as an election day site, but that might be something right near campus. Or the church that we used to use off of the bypass. Things that
I would think that we could probably work with churches without having to really add cost to it.
So one concern about churches is that the equipment has to be able to be locked and stored. And generally during early voting, it's easiest and best to keep it set up once it's set up. So that's the only thing that we're really concerned about, because if we have it start on a Saturday, then that next day, Sunday, they have service. So where do they plan to store and keep our equipment and the process of getting it set back up? I know during my work with the Vote Center Committee, we had spoke about doing the public libraries because we can use them, and as long as they have a room that is sectioned off that can be locked, then we would be fine. You know that they have security because it is a public library, and that was one thing that we really leaned towards, but just making sure that our stuff is able to be locked, secured, and not have to be disturbed.
Yeah, like the Southwest Library branch has these very large like modular meeting rooms where the walls are removable and they literally have a security guard posted at a desk. immediately outside the room you'd want to use.
We have time to talk about that.
Yeah,
I
Correct.
just was, that
Yeah.
was a,
Yep.
But
And
for low cost options for that, I think libraries.
also, I know that like Ellettsville is another location that
Yeah.
has like questioned multiple times over, especially 2024, where their early voting location was in Ellettsville because they had figured that there would be one and there wasn't. So that is another one that we really looked at that really think that there should be one at least in Ellettsville and then somewhere on the south side of town. And then we have election operations in the center of downtown.
Well, and that you're pointing out about the equipment being secured for that length of time. We have had success, would you agree, with the convention center?
Yes.
Where we did the training.
Where we had our training. We had
For-
great success with the convention center then.
And I know you'll know what I'm talking about. The public may not, but on the one side where we just did training for this past presidential, there's rooms that
Yeah,
are-
that's the cook room.
right. So one could be for early voting, one could be for training. Because they
Correct.
guaranteed that we would be able to lock up the equipment at night, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Thank you.
board?
Not unless there's additional public comment.
Not at this time.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.